Welcome to Real Women's Stories. It's New Year's Eve. What does that mean to some people? I mean, for me, it's pretty overrated, right? New Year's Eve, it's meant to be the end of a year. We reflect on the year that we've had, and then it's this big, all singing, all dancing start to the new year. Is that real? Is it reality? Is that how you feel? Because I don't. And I'm going to be real. I've had a great year. I've had a fantastic year. But do I need to put all this pressure on me that I've got all these challenges and goals I'm going to meet for January, and, I'm going to set them all in play? Why don't we just take each day as it comes? Why don't we just change our kind of thinking and think, okay, let's reflect on the year we've had, because I do think that that's important. It's really important to look at all the stuff that you've done, all the good stuff, maybe the stuff that hasn't worked as well, and maybe what you might be able to do differently. But let's step into the new year with a different mindset. Let's just take each day as it comes. Let's just see how the year pans out. Because I know when I go, oh, this is going to be a great year. The clocks are going to turn. I'm going to wake up the next morning. It's going to be 2025 and all this great stuff's going to happen. Is that reality? Because, the weather's still crap if you live in this country, and we've got to navigate the rest of the winter. The kids have got to go back to school, and actually it's New Year's Eve. So we've still got another week till they go back to school, I think, and they're driving us mad. We've got to get through the next few days, and then we've got to start going back to work. And I don't know about you, but that kind of doesn't sit really well with me. I don't really get excited about that. But if I just think, okay, I'm going to wake up each morning and see what happens, see what today brings, I wonder what would happen then. Because then we've got no expectations, have we? We're not going to set any expectations up. And I think when you'll find as you go through your year, you'll start realizing that if you just slow down and don't put pressure on yourself, that some great things will happen anyway. Because the world works in a really great, magical way that if we relax into ourselves, we become the best version of ourselves, and things will just start to appear and to happen gradually. And it's nice to think that the year will build up rather than set ourselves up high. And then what happens? We just fail at the first hurdle. Dieting, let's not drink, let's do all this stuff. We survive for about a week. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh God, it's January, it's rubbish. I kind of just want to have a glass of wine. So you know what? Have a glass of wine. If it's not working for you, then just go do it and don't put pressure on yourself. Just take each day as it comes and let's see what happens. So I kind of touched upon reflection. It's really important to reflect on what we've done throughout the year. And that doesn't necessarily mean everything went well throughout the year. Some things might have gone wrong. Think about what went wrong, why you made that choice, and how you could potentially do it better next year or do it better the next time if that situation arises. And also share that with your friends, because somebody may be in the process of making a similar choice, and then you can help them with that choice, but make it the right choice from your own experiences. It's important to share our experiences. So maybe, over a cup of tea with a friend, sit down and do this together. Like, what happened this year? And if it was a really hard, challenging time and it just all kind of went to pieces, speak to somebody, let them help you dissect that, and don't beat yourself up about it. It's so important that life is a learning curve. If we don't fall down and if we don't make the choices that don't work for us, we learn from it and we grow as people. And as I said, we can share that with our friends and we can help other people too. And also don't compare yourself. We're all individual people. No one is the same. No one's thought process is the same. We don't look the same. We don't feel the same in every given situation. So if you start comparing yourself to other people, you're just going to, build yourself up to fail. It doesn't matter what someone else is doing, because you know what? Someone else might have achieved 5 things and you might have only achieved 3 things, but those 3 things might be far more valuable than the 5 things that somebody else has done. So always think about yourself as an individual and don't look at what other people are doing. Take advice from them, share your stories with them, have a chat with them, but it doesn't matter what you've done and what they've done. Think about yourself, because you will then start empowering yourself, and I bet you'll just go off in a totally different direction and things could be fantastic for you. We asked you a while ago to send us in some voice notes on your memorable Christmases and New Year's. So you're now going to hear some messages that you lovely listeners have left for us of your memories of New Year and how you feel about New Year.
Hi, Michelle here. I live in Spain, near Marbella, and my funny memory of New Year would be when I first moved out here about 26, 27 years ago. And there's a tradition here in Spain, New Year. What you have to do is you have the las uvas de la suerte. So it's like grapes. Every time the clock chimes, 12 times, you put a grape in your mouth. So I went out for dinner with some Spanish friends and the family. There was lots of people around the dinner table, and the restaurant brought us over these grapes, and there were these really big grapes with the pips inside, which I didn't think much of at the time, but as soon as each chime started, put one in my mouth. It was hilarious. I mean, I ended up with about 12 grapes in my mouth. I really don't think I managed to swallow any of them. They were so big and I had to quickly swallow them. And it's meant to basically give you luck. You're meant to have each one on each time, and it gives you luck for the new year. So it's quite a nice tradition. And I found that every year I like to do this, even if I'm abroad or whatever. I like to do the Spanish New Year, and I'll have a grape with every chime, and wherever I go, whatever party, I make everyone else do it as well. So it's quite a nice tradition. But I have learned that now you buy a little tin of grapes, they're already peeled, they have no seeds in, and it goes down very easily, and that's the way to do las uvas de la suerte. And that's my little story.
Emma again from the pub. Anyway, this was New Year's Eve, and we used to have it was a very much a family orientated local pub, and we had lots and lots of regulars, and I have to say, lovely customers. So every New Year's we put on a big bash and we'd have a party, and we used to do fancy dress, and everybody came in fancy dress. And there was one particular crowd, and a lot of them, they worked in the money market, and they would turn up en masse, and they would all dress up, and they'd make a brilliant effort. So just stemming from that, because people knew that they wouldn't be alone, everyone came in fancy dress. In fact, you looked a bit of a party pooper if you didn't turn up in fancy dress. So this one year, we also had a chap called Peter, who used to come in, and he'd moved to the area and he's on his own, and he had a job, and he used to pop in the evenings and drink. But it turns out he could DJ. So somehow or other, he ended up volunteering to be our DJ for New Year's Eve. And again, obviously had to come in fancy dress. And we also had a couple that used to come in, and her job was a makeup artist. She was a really, really talented makeup artist. And she said to him, "Don't worry, I'll sort you out." Anyway, we're getting ready for the evening, and it's early, and we're all ready, and we're all dressed, and we're running around the bar just making sure everything's all ready and set up. And in walks this lady, and she sits at the bar, and we ask if she wants a drink, and she sits in and has a glass or something or other, and we all carry on. Unbeknown to us, this is Peter, our local, who is bald, wears a leather jacket, wears jeans and a white t-shirt. That's his outfit every day. And here he is, sitting, dressed as a beautiful woman, absolutely stunning, and none of us recognised him. He just looked amazing. Well, you can imagine we had a lot of laughs over that. And for the rest of the evening, we just watched everybody else come in, and nobody recognised him. It it was amazing, absolutely amazing. And he was such a quiet, shy man, but to do that and come out of his shell and wear this wicked outfit and dress up as a woman, honestly, he looked fantastic. And the fact we none of us recognised him was just truly amazing. It was just such a good night. And the fancy dress that year was amazing, really, really good. So again, another happy experience, I suppose. Yeah, lovely memory.
I have another message to read out to you. It's actually been written in from Michelle, and she's asked me to read out her most memorable New Year's Eve. So this is what Michelle wrote. We actually had 2 great New Year's Eve, Lisa. Both, in fact, were fancy dress parties. We loved fancy dress in the 80s. The first time I went as a tart, and my husband went as Ali G. We danced the night away and we got so drunk, very unlike me, lol. She obviously likes to drink. We all drunk the night away, and then our friend Neil, whose party it was, decided it would be a great idea if we all drank tequila shots. However, he decided to be brave and actually drank the worm from the bottom of the bottle of tequila. But the worst part was he was apparently so sick the next day, and it lasted for weeks. So Michelle has put, note to anyone listening, leave the worm firmly in the bottle of the tequila bottle. It's obviously comfortable in there, so do not disturb. Thank you for that tip, Michelle. The second New Year's Eve party, her fancy dress memory of a New Year's Eve party, was when all the women dressed up in top hats and tails, leaving the men to dress as women. And boy, were they rolling with laughter, especially when Michelle's husband walked down in his mum's dress that she'd wore for their wedding day. Brilliant. Apparently, that's what she said. He looked absolutely brilliant. But the pinnacle bit of the night was when one of their friends got the fart machine out, and most of the night they all couldn't work out who was farting until right at the end when he pulled out the fart machine. She's put here, all 6 of us had the biggest laugh of our lives and fell out the door laughing and falling all over the place. So those are my New Year's Eve stories. And on that note, Michelle has said she would like to wish all of us a very happy 2025. Thank you, Michelle. That was brilliant.
So my New Year's story, looking back at it now, it's quite funny, but I don't think the time it was very funny. So the new year going into 2020, so 2019 going into 2020, my mom and I decided to do this little meditation retreat where you're completely isolated, you don't speak for 10 days and you meditate every day, and you know, you're up in the Alps somewhere and you're basically just like completely isolated and by yourself. I thought, I was 19 at the time. Most people my age, they go to their big New Year's Eve parties and, you know, they go crazy and they have fun and they go to clubs. And I was like, you know what? I've got the entirety of 2020 to go to clubs and have fun. Let me just isolate myself on New Year. Why not? And lo and behold, we went into lockdown that year, 2020, and I was very much isolated. No clubs, no parties whatsoever. So I guess you could say that my precursor of the year was very, very accurate. I guess you could say I prepared, but a part of me wished I did go to the clubs for New Year's Eve. That is my story.
So I just wanted to say thank you so much for all of you who left the voice notes. And just reflecting on my year, I've had one of the most exhilarating and exciting years that I can remember. Lots of changes for me, and I've made lots of decisions. So I started this podcast because I have been growing my coaching practice, And through the practice, I have met some fantastic people, and I threw it out there and I asked my wonderful producer, Aaron, if he would like to embark on a journey with me and create this fantastic podcast along with another lady who's part of my coaching group, Kate, who does all my marketing and PR. So we've created this beautiful team together to bring you this podcast. And it's really to get you to understand and get to know me, so that as a coach, if you would like to work with me, then you get to hear about my stories and you get to hear about how I work and you get to see me as a person. Because often enough, when we kind of want to embark on a coaching journey with someone, we don't really know who they are. So the idea of this was really for you to get to know me, for you to understand how I work and the tools and practices that I can give you on a really high level sort of platform, that if you do want to work with me, obviously you now have me and you have enough episodes that you can listen to and some topics. And the basis of 2024 and building the podcast was to give people and build a community so that you guys can reach out to me and we can deliver some really fantastic episodes that will have topics that will touch you, that will resonate with you, that will connect with you. We've kind of touched on women probably from the ages of 35 up to 75, because podcasting is new for people. Anyone that hasn't really listened to a podcast before, you've got a friend in your ear, and that's what I want to be to you. I want to be your friend in your ear, giving you some insights, giving you some tools, some tricks, some interesting stories and topics that you might be questioning yourself. This is the last episode of 2024, and this is the end of series 2. So I think that what would be really great is that I see you in January for my 3rd series of Real Women's Stories.